Okay, welcome you all to our YouTube channel Science is Life. We hope to bring a series of videos about C programming for the beginners. So I have mentioned in the description bar what are the other topics and links that we presented related with C programming. So you will be easily go through those videos links and join our rest of the C programming lessons. And if you like to be notified when we add new videos, just subscribe our channel and hit the bell icon. Okay, so let's get started. In today's lesson, we hope to talk about what are the IDEs, and later we will explain you very simple C program, right? So first, before we move to IDEs, I'll explain you about code editors and compilers. What is a code editor? A code editor is a program where we write the source code of our program. That means code editor is just an application software where we write all of our codings. So there are lots of code editors that we can download through internet, right? So here I have mentioned few of them: Sublime Text Editor, Bluefish Editor, likewise. Usually in a code editor, when we code, it indicates the keywords, values, variables in separate colors. That means it shows keywords in a separate color, variables in another separate color, likewise. So then we will be easily identify by the color that this is a keyword, this is a variable, likewise. As well, some code editors shows us the code suggestions. So you can see that the code editors have made very user friendly. So anyone can learn and code programs using these user friendly code editors very easily, right? So let's see what is a compiler. A compiler is also a program that translates the source code from programming language to a machine language, right? Here I have mentioned few compilers that you can use. So, but what is a IDE? IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. And IDE also a program, but it contains both code editor and a compiler in one place. So it contains a good editor to write source code and a compiler to translate that source code which is in programming language into machine language. So Microsoft Visual Studio, NetBeans, CodeBlocks are some examples for IDEs. And if you are a beginner for a C programming, I think it is better to use an IDE for begin programming rather than using separate code editor and a compiler, right? Because we can use them both in same place when we use IDE, right? So throughout these videos, I am going to use CodeBlocks as my IDE. I am using CodeBlocks as the IDE, right? So if you want to download CodeBlocks, I will put two links into the description bar. Using those links, you can download CodeBlocks. And if you don't have any IDE in your computer, then there is another option that you can do. Just Google Online GDB. Just Google Online GDB, then select the first link, GDB Online Debugger Compiler. This is an online IDE, right? You can use this thing online. So if you don't have any IDE, you can simply use this Online GDB. So here in this drop down menu, you need to select language as C. Then you can see there is a simple program already created within this program, right? So this is how Online GDB works, and I'll show you how CodeBlocks is working. So if after downloading CodeBlocks, just double click on the app, then you will receive a interface like this. Here I haven't yet created any projects. Let's see how to create a project. Go to file, then click on it, new, then here select project, right? Then you will receive another dialog box. Here you select console application, then click next. In this two options, just select C, right? Then click next. Here you need to print your type your project name. I am going to save my project as first program, and I am going to save it in desktop. If you want to save it in another in separate location, just select by clicking this tab. By clicking this tab, you can select where you want to save. Then I am going to select next. Then here select GNU GCC compile if it is not there, right? Then select finish. Right, so now my project is created, right? Here this is my first program project, and if I double click on sources, then you can see a main.c file is created. Double click on it and it will shows like this. So this is the automatically created simple C program that was in Online GDB also, right? So it also created in here too, right? So you can see this simple program is also created in here. So let's explore what is this program is, right? So before that, we need to know how to run a program in code blocks as well, right? So here there is a button called build, and there is a button called run, and another button build and run both, right? So if you need, you can build separately and run this code separately, or you can do both of these things at once. Just clicking this button, right? Here you can see the console. This is the console of our program. So all of the outputs will displayed in here. So what is the output of our this simple program? It is hello world. This is our program. Here there is an statement printf and hello world, right? So it is the output hello world. So this is the output of our program. It is displaying in the console, right? So this is the console of our code blocks, and you may think what is the console of Online GDB as well. So if we run Online GDB program like this, then the output will be displayed in here. So this is the console of our Online GDB, right? So all the outputs, and if we input something, it will allow in here, right? Okay, now we are going to explore this simple C program. What are the meaning of these statements and how it works? All of these things we are going to discuss, right? So let's take this simple C program separately, and this is it. Now you can see that in the top of this program there is a statement hash include, right? It is a preprocessor directory, and stdio.h, this is a header file, right? That means when we include something within this angle brackets, mentioning hash include, this particular header file will be included into our source code, right? So that is why we use hash include to include this header file. stdio.h is very important header file because it contains input output related functions. As an example, printf, scanf functions will be work if we use this header file only, right? So otherwise we will not be able to deal with these input and output related functions. So it is very important to include stdio.h before we use scanf and printf functions, right? And we will learn what are printf and scanf in detail in the next video. So today we need to use a very simple printf statement to have the output hello world only. So that is why we here included this stdio.h header file here, right? So then you can see this is the main function, right? So here the name of this function is what? It is main, right? So that is why we call it main function. So there are open and close brackets and the return type is integer, right? And also there are two curly brackets. Within it we have written printf hello world and return 0. Let's see what are the meaning of these things. So here, if we take the main function separately, this is it, right? So here this is the name of our function, it is main, and this is the return type of our main function, right? It is integer. And if we hope to return something in integer, we need to return an integer, right? So that is why we return 0 here. I will do a separate video for functions in detail, right? So for now just think only about this main function, right? I'll explain you how to implement a function and call function likewise in a separate video. So here our main function's return type is what? Integer, and we are returning 0. If we don't want to return anything, then you can use void keyword here, right? Then it will not return anything. So by default in the simple program that already created in this program, keep it as integer returning function, right? So then there you can see printf hello world. This is the one and only code that we have coded in this main function, right? I want to mention you that it is really important part of our program is this main function, right? So main function plays a majority role in our program. Why? If we run our program, then operating system initiates the program execution by invoking the main function. That means our program start to execute from beginning of our main function, right? It will start to execute from the beginning of our main function. So what is the beginning of our main function? It begins when the curly brackets are open. So how our operating system will execute this program? It will begins where our curly brackets open. So all of our codings should be included within these curly brackets, right? Main functions curly brackets. So what is the area of our main function? It is where we start this curly brackets and close our curly brackets. It will end where we close our curly brackets, right? So we call uh, these two curly brackets block structure, right? So uh, this our main function is also a block structure. So you will learn later that all of our program is full of these block structures, right? There is another thing, right? I didn't mention how the printf statement is working, right? So this is the one and only code that we are included in our this little program's main function, right? So this is the one and only code we have used here. So this printf is a predefined function, so that is why we have braces, right? That is why we have brackets, because this is a function. You will learn them later. Just think it now, right? So in the brackets of this function, we have opened double quotes, right? Within this double quotes we have written hello world and slash n, but right? So this printf function is an output function. Output function means it gives an output in the console screen, right? Where do we get the output? We know it. I have mentioned you before. We can have outputs in the console screen, no? So this function will gives the output. What is the output we received? Hello world. So this function gives outputs when we mention something within its double quotes, right? It's double quotes. If we mention hello world, then after executing this function, it will give hello world. But did we get this slash n? No, because it is a escape sequence, right? That means this is a special character. This escape sequence or this special character's meaning is what? It is new line. You will learn them better in future, right? And the other thing I need to mention in this about this program, we need to end each and every statement by the semicolon, right? Here our printf function calling, after the end of this printf function calling, we have written semicolon, right? That means this statement is end here, right? We mention by putting a semicolon that the statement is ended, right? So return 0, after return 0 also we have used semicolon, right? So that is the only thing we need to know about this simple C program. So I think you got a good idea about this simple program. Thank you for watching. If you need to know more about C programming, then you can join with our rest of the videos. Okay, thank you all.